It's time, Fort Wayne. Your sports, your station. It's the Sports Rush with Brett Rump.
Max Landis.
Covering all the topics that hit a nerve here in the Summit City.
Clark goes 11 yards, touchdown.
Only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now here's your host, Brett Rump.
The greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time.
You are incredible. Over the one. Yeah, well, you're not right.
What is this, amateur hour?
This is going to be huge.
I believe this is going to be our finest round.
Just when I think you said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That boy ain't right.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
Welcome to the alleged show.
My kind of magic is automatic. I feel like dancing. I feel like dancing.
After a midweek day off, we are back. It's a Thursday edition of the Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix 4 to 6. I am Brett Rump along with Adam Lundy, and we've got you connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500. That's 260-447-8500. Questions, comments, or suggestions. It's a packed show all the way up until 6 o'clock. We've got Jon Coffman, Purdue Fort Wayne men's basketball coach. Huge win for the Dons on the road last night, and it's I'm a little sleepy. In fact, I did something today, and someone said they were pleased that I had found something, like I had noted a misspelled word or something, and they said, "Hey, really good catch. Glad you caught that." I said, "Yeah, fortunately, right now I'm thinking with the half of my body that is awake." Because I believe right now I'm half awake because late night last night, getting back from Wright State in Dayton, Ohio, after the Mastodons went a couple of overtimes, but it was worth it because they ultimately won a huge Horizon League road game over the Wright State Raiders. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Also, Eric Dutukevich, we got to get ready for basketball coming up tomorrow night. In fact, we'll make the swing to the NE8.
All right, let's go, Northeast State.
It's time to fill the gym with purple because we've got Leo New Haven coming up tomorrow night.
Oh, that'll be, yeah, you're right. That's the purple matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, in football we call it the Purple Bowl. I don't know what we can call it really for basketball, but it's a lot of purple.
The Purple Hardwood Classic.
Okay, yeah, sure. What? Way to come up with one. That must have been the half of your body that's awake. Imagine if the half that was asleep came up with that one. All right, so last night, I was all prepared yesterday, eager to have a show, even though I knew I wasn't having one. But I thought, oh, my goodness, I've got to jump in on this Mike Woodson talk. And I was pumped, and I'm like, I cannot wait until Thursday because I am going to come out firing on the Sports Rush all about Mike Woodson because you heard me talk about it earlier this week, even before the embarrassment at Illinois, that I think the time has come that Indiana's going to have to move on from Mike Woodson. I think at this point there's been enough evidence that he's just not the guy to get the job done in Bloomington. Well, I think he solidified or validated that particular thought with what happened on Tuesday night. So I was really pumped up to get in here and just let loose on Mike Woodson. And then last night happened. And I'm like, now I got to choose which thing I talk about in our first segment. Now, we're going to talk both subjects, and we'll talk Mike Woodson plenty today. But I got to start, man, with some good news. What a game last night in Dayton. Unbelievable college basketball game.
Oh, man, it was excitement. It was drama. It was lead changes.
I mean, there
comebacks.
was like both teams had at some point like a 90-some% chance to win the game, and then it ended up going overtime, and then it looked like certainly it was going to be done in one overtime, and Wright State was going to get the win. They were up by 5 points with less than 30 seconds remaining in the overtime. And the Mastodons, Jalen Jackson hits a triple. And then the Dons, with 7 seconds left, they get a steal. Jalen Jackson to the rack. Jalen Jackson for the layup. Tie game, overtime number 2. And that's when the Dons showed off their three-point shooting, hit 4 of 5 in the second overtime, and they pull away from Wright State for a road win by, get this, 120 to 113. I
Man.
swear I saw an NBA game last night.
That sounds like an NBA score, absolutely.
Well, and the thing was, look at the stats. They had, I mean,
Yeah.
You want to talk, most college teams, you're seeing somebody that shoots like 42, 43%. Somebody else shoots 47, 48%. Last night, Purdue Fort Wayne ended up, for the game, they shot 53.2% from the field, and Wright State shot 50% on the button. From three, Wright State, they hit 37.5%, which is a pretty good percentage from three. Oh, believe me, IU would take it in a heartbeat. The Mastodons hit 16 of 33 for 48.5% from behind the arc.
They're sniping out there.
And they hit 3 of 4 in the second and deciding overtime.
Wow.
And then in the game at the free throw line, the Dons started hitting just 5 of their first 10. That was in the first half. But from halftime all the way through both overtimes, the Dons ended up hitting all 15 of their free throws. And regardless of when they came, they needed every single one of them. They finished the game 20 of 25 at the free throw line, 80%. And Wright State was 17 of 21, which is 81% from the free throw line. So both teams shot lights out. It wasn't like lack of effort. I mean, we'll talk about lack of effort on the defensive end when we talk about Indiana. But it wasn't lack of effort. It was just offensively skilled guys continually making plays against a hard-working defensive player that was, in many cases, overmatched because offensive skill was winning the game last night. And, the Mastodons got such balanced scoring. Of course, Jalen Jackson, so hard to stop, averaging already over 19 points per game. And he ended up with 30 last night, 10 of 20 from the field, 3 of 4 behind the three-point line. And Rasheed Bello almost kept pace. He had 27. And, of course, Rasheed Bello, the reigning Horizon League Player of the Week in the conference. Then you have Chandler Cutrell, who had his first 20-point game for the Dons, but then a double-double last night, his first for Purdue Fort Wayne with 20 points and 16 rebounds.
That's huge. If they can get a good rebounding player out of Chandler, that's huge for the program, especially with Mulder out.
Well, and that's the thing, is Mulder's going to be returning, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And when Mulder comes back, this time that Cutrell has gotten the extended minutes and the opportunity to play a little bit of five and he had to improve his rebounding.
Yeah.
Because, he's a 6'8" guy that's very athletic. I mean, he's got the kind of body you look at him and you think, oh, that guy's probably a monster on the glass. And he never really has been. He's been a good rebounder, but he's not been the guy that's the one man you can count on to go get yourself a rebound. And he's becoming that, and he's learning how to do that. And so developing those box-out skills and the ability to go get it off the rim and having that sixth sense that when a guy takes a shot, you know what side of the basket it's most likely to come off on. All of those things he's developed his skills over the past month because of all the time he's played. And, what's amazing, the Dons have won 5 out of 6 without Mulder.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great stretch without their big.
You lose your 6'9" guy that's one of the nation's top rebounders, and a guy that's been averaging just about double figures, and you lose him out of your lineup, and you really don't have. I mean, the backup center, D'Angelo Elise, is a different type of athlete. He's not quite Elise, not quite as athletic as Mulder, or the ability to play on the perimeter. Elise, like last night, it was a mismatch because Wright State went small against Purdue Fort Wayne. And they went with a guard-oriented lineup. They played like 4 guards with 1 big. And the Mastodons tried to downsize their roster. And so Elise really wasn't a big factor in last night's game. He rarely played. I think he played 1 minute the entire game.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have a different player, though, that can come in and grab those rebounds, especially last night, man. Chandler Cutrell coming up huge for the Dons.
But what a game, because, Coach Coffman preaches quite a bit that to win a conference championship, you've got to take care of business at home, win all your home games and try to find a way to split the road games. And conference road games, and I think it's true in any conference, are really challenging to win. It doesn't matter about win-loss records because, like last night, you're taking on a Wright State team that's 9-9 overall. I think they're 3-4 going into the game last night in the Horizon League, but they're 6-1 at home. They're a different team when you play them at the Nutter Center.
Absolutely, and they're a very competent team, and this was a very high-level basketball game played last night, no question about that.
They've made multiple trips to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And so last night, Mastodons down the entire first half. They were down by as many as 10 points. They were down 6 at halftime. And then midway through the second half, they had a nice little spurt. They had a 12-2 run. They had back-to-back-to-back three-pointers in that 12-point run. They end up taking a 69-61 lead, which just so happened to be their first lead they had all night. And then Wright State answers with a 9-0 run. Comes right back and takes the lead 70-69. Then the last 8 minutes, it was kind of back and forth. Team would go up 4. The other team would respond with a bucket and a three-pointer. It was just one of those games, had you on the edge of your seat the entire time, and probably fitting that it ended up going into overtime because that's how competitive this game was last night. Just to watch it, even if you're not a fan, just to watch it, to be entertained by a good quality basketball game where both teams are playing hard. The fans aren't yelling to fire the coach. And the good guys won eventually. You know what that means. Waffle House last night. Mastodons got their trip to the Waffle House for the third straight year because they've beaten Wright State on the road 3 straight times. And Coach Coffman set up something a couple of years ago where the Dons went there and won and said, I think we need to start a tradition. We get wins at Wright State. We all go to Waffle House. And so everybody headed to Waffle House after the game. And that particular night, which was the first time we went, we were in and out in like 20 minutes, and everybody dined in the restaurant. Then last year, we went to Waffle House, and the service was not quite the same.
A little slower.
We ended up getting our orders to go because of the amount of time it was taking, and we were there for like an hour and a half before we finally got all of our meals and hit the road, and, of course, got back in the middle of the night then when we should have been back like 12:30. And then last night they pre-ordered everything, so all they had to do was just drive by, go in, pick up the bags, and deliver them on the bus, and they were on their way back. But, yep, they got the trip to Waffle House, but what a night. I mean, down 5 with 29 seconds left. I think the ESPN calculator showed that it was like a 96 or 97% chance that Wright State was going to win the game at that point. And then even a 2-point game with 7 seconds left. You figure they're going to inbound it, and the Dons are going to foul right away, and then they're going to have a chance to add to their 2-point lead, and they're good free throw shooters. But instead, they inbound it. The Dons strip it. It goes right into the hands of Jalen Jackson. Now, did you have that particular play?
I do have that play.
Okay, so here is what happened. This was at the end of overtime. After the Dons had been down by 5, they had cut it to 2, and this is what happened with 7 seconds left with Wright State inbounding, leading by 2 with about 7 seconds left in overtime. Now the Wright State Raiders are going to have to inbound it, a 2-point game. Dons are going to have to foul almost immediately, and the ball almost knocked away, and it is. Jackson has it. Jackson, layup on the turnover. Jackson scores with 1.6 seconds, which turned out to 1.9. And here's the interesting thing about that is that they threw a half-court pass that CJ had not intercepted. He took one dribble and launched a shot, and really it was... I think he was a lot closer than he realized because he stole it on the run, intercepted it at half court, took a dribble, and he was only about 5-6 feet behind the three-point line, but he kind of threw it like he was launching a half-court shot. And so the Dons actually had a chance to win it. How crazy would that have been?
Man, that would have been number 1 on SportsCenter.
Yeah, but anyway, what a second overtime for Quentin Morton Robertson.
Started lighting it up.
He decided, I've played enough ball tonight.
I want to go home. I want my waffles.
I'm calling game, and we're going to go get our waffles because Quentin Morton Robertson the 5'8" guard out of Virginia, who's a grad student. He's playing his COVID year. He hit back-to-back threes when the Dons were down 109-108 in the second overtime. It gave them a 114-109 lead that they never relinquished. 2 huge three-point buckets. And they were not really in rhythm. I mean, it was like he got it, he gave a little fake like he was going to drive, the defender backed up, and he thought, I'll just shoot it. Boom.
Hey,
three-pointer.
Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you just got to do it. You got to take over a game.
But Jackson, 30 points, 3 steals. Bello, 27 points, 8 assists. Chandler Cutrell, we said the double-double with 20 and 16. CJ Hadnot, what a job he's doing, and what could be a performance to earn him 6th Man of the Year in the Horizon League. He ended up with 17 points after he had 23 his last time out. And Quentin Morton Robertson finished the game with 16 points. The Dons are now 14-6, 7-2 in the Horizon League. Half game out of first. They have won 4 straight games. They're within a game of 500 on the road. Now, they're 4-5 on the season on the road, but they played 3 power conference teams, Central Florida, Penn State, and Michigan. And, of course, didn't get a win in any of those 3. So they actually are 4-2 against mid-major competition on the road. And now they move on to a restful weekend because they have the bye over the weekend. And they'll play Oakland at Oakland. And, of course, yes, that Oakland that knocked off Kentucky in the NCAA tournament a year ago, coached by 41-year coach Greg Campy up in Rochester Hills, Michigan. And they'll play them on the road next Wednesday. But, man, that was fun last night. I mean,
you can't ask for much better.
You can't. I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to do what I do and get a chance to sit front row, but then to be entertained by just a classic basketball game with 2 good programs, a lot of really good players, and then to have the competition go back and forth like it did last night. You know, Wright State had to feel like they were a little desperate for a win. They had just lost a 2-point game on the road and wanted to get back to 500 in the conference, and the Dons trying to keep pace with Cleveland State, who had already won because they had completed their game before the Dons game was over. So it was unbelievable. By the way, the new stats came out today. Just give you an update. The Mastodons are now 2nd in the country. They're tied for 2nd in the country in fewest turnovers per game. Now, if you've ever seen a Mastodons game, they play at a frantic pace. They play up and down. They push the tempo. Play very fast, a lot of ball movement, a lot of pass and catch, a lot of cutting. That's amazing that a team that plays that style is 2nd in the country in fewest turnovers. And last night they play 40 minutes of basketball, 10 minutes of overtimes, and they had 7 turnovers. And the 7th turnover was an offensive foul on a moving screen. So, I mean,
there's not many teams that can play at the pace that the Purdue Fort Wayne Mastodons do and would not turn it over a lot more times because it's a frenetic pace and it would lead to a lot of turnovers if the Dons weren't used to that sort of style.
They're now 4th in the country in turnover margin, which means how many you force out of your opponent versus how many you commit yourself. Last night, Wright State had 16 turnovers. The Dons just 7. The Dons are number 4 in the country. When we say number 4 in the country, that's not among mid-majors. No, that includes the list of all your power conference teams, 360-some teams to be exact. And the Dons are the 4th best in the country in turnover margin. They are the 7th best in the entire nation in 3-point shots per game. Made.
Wow.
They are also what are they? The percentage, they're right up there, too. 22nd in 3-point field goal percentage.
Yeah.
They are 12th in assist to turnover ratio. They are 19th in scoring offense, averaging 84.4 points per game. And they are 20th in the country in effective field goal percentage. I mean, you want to come out and see good basketball? You got your chance. You come see a Mastodons game, especially for the price. Because, you see all these people that want to vent and complain about Indiana. Save it. use that energy to cheer for the home team because you're not going to be disappointed by the effort out of the Mastodons. You're going to enjoy yourself because you'll see a brand of basketball that is very entertaining. It's fundamental, it's quick, it's ball movement, it's unselfish, and they hit threes. And who doesn't dig the three ball?
Everybody loves the three ball.
Everybody loves the three ball.
And you get dunks, too. I mean, it's just everything you could ask for out of a basketball game. It's right there, and it's right here in Fort Wayne.
Truly is. It's right here. And we're going to give you a reason that you're going to want to go to the next Dons home game. Got some special news today about the Dons' next home game.
Interesting. All right. Looking forward to that.
Yep. We've got Coach Coffman to talk more about this coming up in about 15 minutes. Sad news in the world of sports that we'll have to reflect on here later, but we welcome your thoughts at 260-447-8500 on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line. Bub Uecker. Now, I don't know if people today still know him as from the Mr. Belvedere. You're laughing.
I just have heard that that's a very old program.
Well, it didn't seem that old to me. Probably on when I was about your age.
Oh, so it was just a couple years ago.
Yeah. But, of course, he's the longtime Milwaukee Brewers. What was it, Major League? Was that the movie he was in?
Yep.
And he was the announcer for Major League.
Harry Doyle.
But Bob Uecker, 90 years old, passed away today. It was announced by the Brewers. Kind of a sad day because he brought comedy and entertainment into baseball, which at times can be a somewhat dry sport, and he lightened it up with just his comedic sense.
Yeah, especially when he started. You look at the 70s and 80s, and baseball commentary was not as lighthearted as it is nowadays. So definitely one of the pioneers of bringing a little bit of fun into the booth.
We got to check some headlines, so let's go ahead and do that. It's time to find out what's happening in the world of sports. Today's top headlines with Adam Lundy.
All right, well, speaking of those Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons, Purdue-Fort Wayne's Jalen Jackson is the recipient of the Lou Henson Award mid-season honors. This award is presented annually to the top player in mid-major college basketball. Jackson is averaging 19.7 points per game and is shooting nearly 60% in league play. He has scored in double figures in every game, including 20 or more 8 times.
Huge. That's the best of the best for mid-major basketball. That's the biggest target then for power conference teams to want to pursue you in the offseason. Jalen, we love you in Fort Wayne. It's a great place to stay. It's your hometown.
We do like you here.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right. Well, Pacers Sports and Entertainment today revealed plans to break ground this summer on a state-of-the-art $78 million exclusive sports performance center for the Indiana Fever in the heart of downtown Indianapolis. Construction of the 3-story, 108,000-square-foot world-class training facility is expected to begin in August. The facility will have best-in-class amenities, including 2 regulation-sized courts with natural light, premier strength and conditioning equipment, yoga and Pilates area, a hydration station, and a full-service kitchen. The Indiana Pacers head up north to take on the Pistons tonight. We'll have coverage on the Fan here tonight with tip-off at 7. The Pacers will be without Benedict Mathurin, who was suspended for 1 game for making contact with an official in last game for the Pacers. They also may be without Tyrese Halliburton and Aaron Naismith, who are both game-time decisions with injuries. And those are your top updates.
Before we get to break, because we're already so over, it doesn't matter, I want to give a shout-out to Jalen's mom. Coaches the Northrop girls team.
Yeah.
Every single game, it seems like you look in the stands, and there she is to support Jalen. Last night, she was at Wright State. I mean, it's just unbelievable because you think of the role of a parent and trying to support their kids, and she almost never misses a game. And, she coaches, so she had to practice yesterday.
Yeah.
Practices till 5 o'clock, runs out, jumps in a car, shoots down the highway, gets to Dayton. She doesn't even get to the beginning of the game. So she gets there, and it's probably 8-9 minutes into the game by the time she arrives.
Wow.
And then after the game, you go 2 overtimes, and then she waits until Jalen gets out of the locker room, talks to him, heads back, has a full day today, has practice, and then she's got the twins that play at Valparaiso. And she doesn't hardly miss a game they play.
Wow.
I'm like, I got to salute her. I mean, what parents do for their kids, and, when there's that kind of a support and commitment, you got to recognize it. That is just absolutely terrific, and I'm really happy for Jalen. Just a great kid, and really happy that he won such a prestigious award. I mean, even though it's the mid-season,
still,
and by the end of the year, a lot of people will forget it. But that is, think of all the players that play mid-major basketball.
Thousands.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, thousands and thousands.
What an honor for Jalen Jackson. All right, so we will take a break, and we'll come back briefly before we get Coach Coffman on the line. But it is a Thursday edition of the Sports Rush. Yes, we are back after being off for a day yesterday on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Coming up tonight, it's an open night of no college basketball, so we're able to bring you Pacers basketball as they take on the Detroit Pistons up in the Motor City. 7 o'clock tip-off, so 6:30 pregame coming your way tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, we guess.
Pacers time.
Yeah.
My favorite team in the NBA.
Yep, Pacers basketball tonight. And then tomorrow night we've got high school basketball with the Leo Lions and the New Haven Bulldogs. That'll be a 7:30 tip-off after the game. Be sure you join us at the New Haven Pizza Hut. It's a perfect nightcap to high school basketball on a Friday night. We'll be bringing you all of the scores, highlights, coaches' interviews, and more on the Parkview Sports Medicine post-game show. Last night, crazy game. Just unbelievable game. The intensity, the energy, the fight out of both teams. Nobody wanted to quit, and I wasn't sure we were ever going to end, but we did. And it was the Mastodons prevailing in 2 overtimes over the Wright State Raiders, make it 3 in a row for the Dons on the road at Wright State, which is one of the tougher places in the Horizon League to go get wins. Only the second home loss this year for Wright State. But the Dons end up prevailing 120-113. I think the over might have played. But what a game. And we've got the coach now joining us on our guest line. It is men's basketball coach Jon Coffman. And, Coach, what a wild night in Dayton last night.
Well, I wrote it on my board in the pregame, in that period where it's 10 minutes before you go out on the floor and we're getting our minds fit, and that's kind of my motivation, not my X's and O's. And first thing I put on, this is going to be a great college basketball game. And you have, 2 Horizon League heavyweights, and Wright State and ourselves over the last decade are the 2 winningest programs in the Horizon League over the last 10 years. And we surpassed them with our season so far this year to be the winningest. But it's going to be a great program. 2 programs that have won a lot of games and do it the right way and play really good basketball. And they didn't shortchange any of the fans watching live or in person or on TV. It was a great game.
Or listening.
That's hard. God dang it! I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're right.
I know. I always get on him about this. It's like, hey, don't forget, we're there too, talking about the game. But
hey, Statman, I love that you sent out that, like, you dumbed it down, do this, and you can watch a road game and listen to the voice of the Fort Wayne Mastodons.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Why listen to another team's broadcasters? Because all those road games are broadcast by another team's announcers. And so if you want to go, now you go to a lot of broadcasts and you've got the choice of the audio being the home audio or the road audio, and they just blend in the radio. And I thought we should do that too. So it's not that difficult to do. But what a wild night. It was a lot of fun. Coach, before we detail this game, and we're going to break it down, some news came out today that the Mastodons have been selected by ESPN to be the featured Horizon League game coming up January 30th. It's a home game at the Coliseum against Cleveland State. It could, depending on how things go between now and then, be a game to decide the first place leader in the Horizon League. But it shows a lot of respect for the program when a national network who has a choice of any Horizon League game taking place that night that you get picked. So it's a great honor, and I hope the fans respond with that same type of respect to come out and cheer for the Dons that night.
No, you're exactly right. So there's 5. So this is the math of it. There's 5 weeks in the regular season where it becomes the game of the week, and ESPN chooses, and we give them all the choices of our league games. And like last year, we got picked. It was our game at Northern Kentucky. 2 years ago, it was our home game versus Oakland, but it was done almost a week of, I think, when it got selected. So the advantage we have here is we get to pub this, and we're at the Coliseum, and we get to showcase national TV coming to Fort Wayne. And, you want it to look good. You want to have the stands full. And if you're sitting there in the stands and you got your sign, or your grandparents who live in Louisville or Greensboro or Atlanta, they get to watch you. They're going to be panning around and recognize you in the stands. So I think that's pretty cool. We get to showcase. It's going to be a great game again. And right now they're a half game ahead of us in the league. They're 7-1 in Horizon League play. We're 7-2. And so if the game were played tomorrow, it would be a first place game. But it's a week and a half away. Which anyway, it's going to be a great college basketball game. So good promotions. And just so you know, I got it approved today, and I love this. I got it approved that every kid 12th grade and below gets free admission.
Oh.
So I do that so there's less compliance rules to be able to get people to the game. And also, my love for, hey, how do we get more young people?
Right.
Whether it's, high school kids, elementary school, all that stuff. Now, the game time did get flipped to 9 p.m. because of TV time. So, your 4th graders, they got to be passionate. Or the parents got to be super passionate. I get you. But the fact that we're now making it free for all 12th grade and below, I think that's going to be awesome. Getting a good group of young people and exposing them to high-level basketball and future Mastodons.
I've already branded this with my Sports Rush branding. I've already put out a tweet that it is Support the Fort Night and show what kind of sports fans we've got here in Fort Wayne. So that's going to be, I know you've got the Defend the Fort, you've got your own little names you come up with, but if you see me tweeting it, I'm going to be tweeting Support the Fort and come out and see Mastodons.
Let's get a hashtag going with that.
Yeah.
And I'll use the tagline. Now, I will tell you this. I put in, this was an off day for us, and we got a bye this weekend. I put some time in today with my marketeer hat. The hard part for me as the marketeer is I got a couple games in between now and our next home game. I'm gonna work on winning those games, and I'll leave the marketeering up to you in our ticket office. But love what you're doing with that.
Well, we want to see a big crowd out there, but let's talk about last night because it was just great college basketball, and you've got a lot to be proud of with the way your guys responded to the challenge and the adversity of being on the road in front of 3,000 fans in Dayton at the Nutter Center. And being down 10 points in the first half, never giving up, just keep playing each possession. You find yourself in the lead in the second half. But just so many ups and downs and so many different players that stepped up last night and made key plays at key moments. And I think that's the thing that stood out is if you're trying to defend your basketball team, you can't just say we need to take one thing away because you've got 4 or 5 things you can throw at them.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, Jalen Jackson, our Fort Wayne guy, he dropped 30 in the game and makes the critical steal along with QMR. All right, when they trap in the first OT to send it into the second one, we're down 5. What was it? 28 seconds or 32? I can't.
29 seconds. Officially, it said 29 seconds. 5 points down, and Jalen hit that quick 3 in transition.
He hits the quick 3 in transition. All right, and then we foul, which then gives us a time to make a decision. All right, we decide to go quick 3, and Q makes a great decision. All right, and he has to make a decision on shooting the basketball earlier than guys that are 6'3", 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's 5'8", but he shoots the lights out of it, and we're coming off of a handoff. All right, we're out of timeouts, coming off of a handoff ball screen. and usually you can shoot behind him. Great way to get a three, all right, at short seconds, okay? But he's got to make a decision early to rise up behind that ball screen if they go under. Well, he, in the midst of it, sees the play, hits Chandler slipping. We get a quick two, organize, all right, which we work on in practice, organize into our press, get them to catch it deep corner, and force a trap to get a steal, and then that's where Jalen hits that two. And just multiple guys just in that time make those plays. You're exactly right with that. And then the other part, when you talk about guys stepping up, I mean, how about Q in that third overtime just takes it over? And that's where he hits 2 threes and a 2, has 8 points in the 15 points of that OT to just take it over. And tough play, just makes baskets.
I think Q got tired, just decided I'm calling game right here, and he had 2 threes and a driving bank shot, and that was ball game right there. I think he was just tired and wanted to go get waffles.
Well, I was tired at end of regulation. I wish he would have decided we were tired at the same time and just put an end to it. But you're right, made some big plays. And I mean, she's been making big plays. I mean, he had 27 and 6 assists. Had some critical buckets down the stretch, and then, Chandler Cuttrell, I mean, huge to where, it gets inserted 2 minutes before the 10-minute mark of determining your starting lineup. We switch our starting lineup to match theirs. They went small, which puts the preseason player of the year, who's a 4 or 5, but really a tough guard for, a true 5-man. We switch our starting lineup. He gets his first start of the year playing a position that he's now been playing for 5 games in his first start, and it really shrinks our lineup. But he had 20 and 16 in the game?
Yep, 20 and 16. Unbelievable.
And then, obviously, you got CJ, who's played starter minutes, has 17 in the game. Another tremendous output from him. I mean, he's, I think you and Nolan started tabbing him 6th man of the year.
Yeah.
He has had a phenomenal year. So a lot of guys just don't stat you. But when you look at the most impressive, when you look at Sheed, he had 49 minutes of basketball.
Unbelievable.
49 minutes.
I mean, and yet, still making the plays on both ends of the floor all the way to that 49th and 50th minute of the ball game. By the way, I've got to ask you, because when you get into those situations, this is like your third road game in the Horizon League where you've had one possession games, back and forth contests. Have you had situations that you've learned from those previous games that have now played out and you're better prepared for them? You've been able to practice them. The guys know what to expect and what type of plays they want to run, because you ran a number of pretty good plays down the stretch without calling a timeout.
Well, we do, and we've addressed that, and that's where, there's kind of, we call it our burn time, whether you're burning clock because you're ahead, or we're trying to organize quickly because we're not a set team, but you got to be able to run some where you do some isolation basketball down the stretch to to manage clock and actually rest. I mean, those double overtimes, some of that when we go to our burn, where we go low 1-4 and call some isolation, that was to rest our guys. I mean, you got to play both ends of the floor, and they're exhausted at that stage of the game. And so, we have learned in those. The other piece that we've learned, and we learned in 2 losses, is that, every possession counts, and games the margins are thin in league play. And we're referencing that, to demand what we call more grit, which is that physical and mental toughness to be disciplined. And our mantra the last couple of weeks have been, grit to discipline. To be able to do those no-talent jobs. And so we're referencing that. Hey, you're one possession away, win or loss. You got to be locked in. But then the other piece, and in both of those road losses that we had, like, it was not us not making plays. We made plays. Other teams made plays. This made one more play than us. I mean, we had guys stepping up, making huge winning plays, huge winning pressure baskets. And so I think the fact that we've been referencing that live and in retrospect on video, our guys have a confidence. Hey, we've been here before. We've had success. We just need one more play. And, down the stretch of that Wright State game, I'm clapping. Like, I mean, I got a smile on my face. Like, man, this is a great college basketball game. And I'm applauding our guys, even down 5 in that last, hey, man, I'm applauding big-time plays. And a couple of them were Jalen Jackson getting to the rim, just didn't finish. And it wasn't like he's trying to miss the play. Like, you get to the rim and you get a chance to give the referee, a reason to make a call down there. Like, that's success, whether it goes in or not. Like, the process is great. Applauding that process now gives you confidence. Hey, just do it again, and the numbers are going to play out. If, Chandler Cutthroat, he takes a wide-open three, first three of the game for him, and it's down the stretch, and I'm applauding him, man. Great shot. Like, and that gives him the confidence, hey, step up. Just because you missed the last one, don't be worried about taking the next one. Like, keep stepping up and being that big-time guy to make a play.
You get a little bit of a break now after that long, lengthy, draining, both emotionally and physically, win on the road at Wright State. So with this extra time, I don't think it could have been a more perfect place on the schedule, because not only does it give you a break to get some rest and get your legs back, but it also gives you an extra couple of days of preparation for Oakland. What's going to be more important for your guys, getting the rest or taking advantage of a couple of extra days of prep for that Oakland zone?
Well, you know me. Like, you always teeter on the glass, half empty. And our guys, like you're saying, hey, their energy's depleted. I refute that. Like, guys were hanging out in the office, they are energized. Like, this group loves college basketball. They are fired up. They can't wait for the next one. And we're playing great basketball right now. So I wish we were playing on Saturday. But, like, I know you're hiding that glass half full mentality because you love the Dons. There is the benefit of getting our legs with guys who played 49 minutes. So, you know me, it's not an interview if I don't bust your chops a little bit.
Yeah, I don't really know where you're going with that point, because in some ways you're kind of chastising me, but in the other side you're saying, yeah, but you're kind of right. But all right, let's talk about the Oakland zone. This Oakland zone. Because that part, I know I'm right. I know I'm right about prepping for the Oakland zone, because it's more unique than anything you'll see all year.
No, it is, and that's where, like, it's different now. What is it? Is this 4 or 5 years in the horizon? I'm trying to think. COVID year was year one.
The fifth year was because the COVID year was the first year. That's 5 years ago.
Yeah. And so what's happened is like, an advantage now is we've faced it multiple years. We've seen what we do. We've named different things. We have stuff in our playbook, and we try to spend as much time as possible in June, July, August. Our guys don't necessarily know we're working against the Oakland zone, but we're working against the Oakland zone. And we got our packages in to be able to do it, to where, like, I feel good about where we are with, like, it's not going to be the first time we're referencing play action and unique play action that we're going to use against their zone. So we've been prepping for it. There is value in that. The hard part with that extra time is you like to kind of play a little bit of live basketball and try to mimic it. The challenge is there's no way to mimic what they do because there's so much randomness to it. And so you don't really gain the time there, but hey, there's going to be rest. We're going to prep for it. We're going to, have a good flow with it. And the good part is we've been prepping since June against it. And I think our guys have been as good as anybody in the country playing against it. I mean, you look at our game there last year, we're up 31 with 10 minutes left, win the game by 21. I think we have a really good attack against their zone, but they're really good. And just like we keep getting better, so does Coach Campy. They beat us when it was when the pressure was really on in league play up there in the conference tournament. and so they're going to be prepared as well. But I love the fact that I got to put on my marketeer hat, work on that ESPNU game a little bit. Got to digest, enjoy a win for a day. But tonight I go back after Lucy's St. Vincent's game. I get to start watching video again, get into game prep for Oakland.
It should be a nice, enjoyable weekend, and I know you'll be committed to having the guys ready for next Wednesday's trip up to Oakland. And then, of course, the Dons will have next Saturday, a week from Saturday, down in the state capitol against IU Indianapolis before the big win on January 30th against Cleveland State in front of a national television audience. Once again, great win last night, Coach. Appreciate the time, and good luck to Lucy in her game tonight.
Appreciate you, Stat Man.
Yep, that is Coach Jon Coffman joining us. See, he must have been like real close to the game because he didn't add like something after that, where usually he has some kind of a something about my mattress or something, some kind of a remark. But
must have been busy today.
He must have been busy, ready to get to Lucy's game. But always great to talk to Coach Jon Coffman. Coming up in hour number 2, we've got to talk college football. We've got to. Oh, I don't know if you saw it last night, but I'm going to talk about a play in the NBA. One play. Also, Mike Woodson. Is he the guy for the future of Indiana basketball? Oh boy. We'll have that coming up right after the top of the hour. We got to take a break. It's the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.